Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're taking a really close, step-by-step look at the forensic breakdown of a deeply tragic event, the Muntaha Zahra case. You know, when a tragedy like this strikes, it's incredibly easy for rumors and speculation to just take over. But as we know, the truth of what actually happened in any complex case isn't found in rumors, it's found in the hard, unyielding science of a crime scene. So our objective right now is to look purely at the established data, the medical reports, and the actual investigative progress made by authorities. Let's map out exactly how law enforcement approaches a case like this, moving from the initial physical scene straight to the high-tech laboratories. Let's get started.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap. 1. The postmortem findings. 2. Narrowing the suspect list. 3. The forensic evidence. 4. The case against Arslan. And 5. The investigation continues.
Section 1. The postmortem findings.
So, the most difficult but absolutely necessary starting point of any investigation is establishing the official cause of death. According to the postmortem report, Muntaha Zahra died after her throat was slit with a sharp-edged weapon. And while that's really tough to discuss, this clinical fact immediately tells investigators exactly what kind of weapon to look for at the crime scene. It helps them begin profiling the nature of the attack itself, establishing a crucial baseline for the homicide division.
But what's absolutely critical here is how these findings help reconstruct the actual timeline of the attack. You see, the autopsy didn't just find the fatal wound. The report also clearly states that the victim suffered a severe head injury that resulted in a fractured skull. So why does this matter? Well, police sources use these exact clinical findings to develop a working theory of the crime sequence. They claim that when the child raised an alarm, the suspect allegedly smashed her head against a wall to render her unconscious before delivering the fatal wound. So the medical evidence here isn't just a list of injuries, it's literally a structural narrative of the victim's final moments.
Section 2. Narrowing the suspect list.
You know, modern policing is essentially a giant process of elimination. The inquiry report identifies 3 principal suspects right off the bat: Abbas, Azar, and Arslan. But 2 other individuals, Hanif and Ahsan, were also initially scrutinized. However, Sargodha police determined they had nothing to do with the actual murder itself. How? Well, through closed-circuit television. CCTV footage provided an ironclad alibi proving Hanif and Ahsan were simply not present at the crime scene when the incident occurred. Now, it is important to point out that police sources state Hanif and Ahsan still remain under investigation for other aspects surrounding the case. But the digital eye of the CCTV effectively cleared them from the immediate physical scene of the crime.
Section 3. The forensic evidence.
18. I want you to just think about that number for a second. The crucial point here is the sheer volume of scientific data being processed. Exactly 18 distinct forensic samples were collected directly from the crime scene. And in forensic science, every single swab, every tiny hair, every microscopic fiber is a completely separate sample that has to be carefully documented, sealed, and analyzed. This number really gives us an appreciation for the vast scale and the thoroughness of the Crime Control Department's physical inquiry.
Let's actually break those 18 samples down. All of these were sent to the Punjab Forensic Science Agency, or PFSA, for highly specialized examination. They collected DNA and other biological evidence from the 5 suspects we just discussed. They seized the alleged murder weapon and the suspect's clothing. But crucially, they also collected material from the walls and doors at the crime scene. Remember the autopsy suggesting the victim's head was smashed against a wall? This right here is how police corroborate a theory. If they find the victim's DNA or forensic markers on that specific wall material, it scientifically locks in their working theory of how the crime unfolded. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. To ground all these forensic steps, we have this official confirmation from Sargodha District Police Officer Sohaib Ashraf. He confirmed to the media that a preliminary investigation report has already been escalated to senior authorities. And it's definitely worth noting the background here. DPO Ashraf is widely considered a highly professional officer and investigator who previously served with the Counterterrorism Department. Having an investigator with that level of tactical and forensic background overseeing the collection and processing of these 18 samples adds a massive layer of rigor to the investigation.
Section 4. The case against Arslan. So how did all this point to Arslan? Well, DPO Ashraf stated the forensic and circumstantial evidence against him was considered strong. First, investigators reportedly found bloodstains on his clothing. Second, they noted a physical injury to his own finger, which is actually something often seen when a sharp-edged weapon slips during an attack. Third, the alleged murder weapon was recovered in connection with him. And finally, authorities point to an alleged confession. It's a powerful step-by-step convergence of physical evidence, biological evidence, and suspect statements. And strictly sticking to the official reports, it's also important to impartially note that authorities state Arslan was recently killed in an alleged police encounter.
Section 5. The investigation continues.
Because, as we often see, a physical crime scene almost always spawns a digital one. In the aftermath of this tragedy, a shop was vandalized. Authorities didn't just arrest individuals for the vandalism, they seized their mobile phones. And upon forensic extraction of those devices, authorities reportedly recovered alleged propaganda videos. This just goes to show how an investigation can rapidly expand. What started as a highly focused forensic analysis of physical blood and DNA has now evolved into a complex digital forensics operation, analyzing data storage, video metadata, and potential networks of incitement.
Which leaves us with this final, absolutely critical question. The physical evidence against the primary suspect was overwhelming, but remember, we are still waiting on the final detailed results from the Punjab Forensic Science Agency on those 18 distinct samples. So, combine that pending biological data with the newly recovered digital propaganda on those mobile phones. How will these combined scientific and digital discoveries shape the final legal outcomes for the remaining individuals, like Abbas, Zahra, Hanif, and Hassan, who are still tied to this case? The physical crime scene has been fully processed, but the data? The data is still speaking. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the evidence.